Hello and welcome to this new game review. We'll have a look at a game in which opening principles were quite important, and also we will look at ways to avoid big blunders, which are usually the result of not seeing attacks and defenses. So we have e4, e5, white plays knight c3 and black develops his knight, and now white plays this move knight b5, which is a bad move. Firstly, one of the opening principles that is most important is to not move around the same piece twice without any reason, because this way white loses time and he uses his move not very fruitfully. He could have instead developed a piece or another piece as well. Instead, knight b5, black develops sensibly and white goes back, and now white has simply lost two moves and black now has two pieces against one developed, and now it's his move as well. He played bishop b4, which is fine, but even better was to strike in the center with d5, because now, since black has more pieces developed, he can start the fight and white's pieces will not really be already prepared for what's going on in the center. So bishop b4, a3, black takes, and white takes back with the b pawn, and here black could have just taken this free pawn, since now the knight is not on the board anymore, so no one is defending e4. So castles instead. Here white should really defend his pawn, but this was not seen, and we should always look at checks, captures and attacks, both for ourselves and for the opponent, and here black found this pawn, and now he is a pawn up, but not only that, he has a huge lead in development, 4 pieces against 1. I'm saying 4 because castling basically develops 2 pieces, because we get our king out of the center and our rook out of the corner. So now both pieces are improved. d3, the knight went back to g5, there's nothing wrong with keeping it in the center squares, but this is fine. h4, knight e6, so it's important that we saw that the knight was attacked. c4, b6, this is fine to develop the bishop. The last pieces that are not developed are here. Of course, we could always strike in the center with d5, for example. Again, opening principles tell us to open up the position whenever our opponent is not developed, and our opponent has only developed one piece, is pushing around pawns, while we are already developed, so we can, for example, open up the position like this, then play maybe e4, then open up the e-file towards the king as well, and black is basically winning. So b6, c3, moving the same another pawn, bishop b7, d4. So white has taken the center, but at the same time black is already completely developed. Basically his rooks are almost connected, which means it's time to strike, especially when white has no developed pieces. So black opens the center, but now unfortunately black takes this pawn very quickly, and of course before taking on such tactical operations we should take some time to consider what's going on. Unfortunately this pawn is defended by 2 pieces, attacked by 2 as well, which means we cannot take it. Instead black should have again attacked the center, for example with d5, and this will open up the d-file as well, attacking the d4 pawn, opening up the e-file as well, and activating the queen. Instead this happens, and now white is for choice since he has a piece up, and the black does have a lot of compensation because he has a huge lead in development and better pieces, but it should not be enough. c5 allows white to put his queen on a better square. Queen f6 attacks the rook, so this is a nice move to develop the queen with tempo. The rook moves, and now queen b2. Probably it was better to place the rooks on e8 and d8 and play d5 to open up the center while still white has not developed his pieces and his king is in the center. But here white could have developed his pieces, like for example this, bishop e2, knight f3, and white is for choice. Instead rook b1 happens, black gives this check, which is a nice move, just because the queen is attacked doesn't mean we have to move it, and attacking the king and bringing the piece into the game with tempo is a better idea. And here white blunders with king d1. Instead he should have used one of his undeveloped pieces to defend, and now white would be basically fine. Instead, king d1, but now f2 is hanging, so it was nice that we saw this. And now white is having a lot of trouble not getting checkmated. The threat is rook e1 checkmate. And if white, for example, defends the square like this, we can take with check, and the next move is rook e1. Otherwise, white played knight h3, attacking the queen, but this allows mate in 1, which black saw. So pretty decently played by black. He developed his pieces quite sensibly, but unfortunately, for some reason, he gave up his knight on d4, which was not really necessary. Before taking such pawns, which are defended at least slightly, we should calculate how many pieces are defending and how many are attacking.